the worst thing was having no electricity. And because eventually, we were there a few years till, well, I was still there when I had my call-up papers to go in the army at 18, so you can imagine. And the trouble was, you see, during the war, building had virtually stopped and there was no new houses coming along. Most of the houses were occupied. But the other family did manage to get a council house down at Manchester, and eventually Mother got a bungalow that was down on the new estate in my view, and she left there.
What year was that?
Pardon?
What year did you leave?
Well, it was after the war. I went in the army in 47 and came back out in the end of 49, and we were still there. It was probably about 1950 when we left. Yeah. But
And did you go into a new property then?
Sorry?
Did you go into a new property?
No, I got married and went to live in Church Street.
Right.
Yeah, and so I was away from it when the old town hall was still there. Yeah. I've got a photograph I can't show you. Well, it's not one I took, but one in one of the local books showing where we were. But getting back to Allen's Row, there was a yard also that we could see over the fence, Bond's Buildings it was called, and I think there was only about 2 hours in that yard. And the lady lived there with her family, and she had an outside wash house to herself actually, but she used to do all her dollying outside, and at the end of the road, the Long Street Inn was, we'd got a fish and chip shop, Charnels, and there was Grubb's Paper Shop, which was an old established paper shop of Atherstone, went for years, and it, that was pretty well known. And coming out onto Long Street, almost opposite, perhaps to the left of a few yards, was Vinnis's Row, which was another yard. And then, because up the other end of Long Street there was Cotton Mill Yard, still a few yards about. You'd know all about those from your research. Allen's Row, we did eventually get the electricity on. What happened was a gentleman, electrician, came to see us, and he said that he could drink.
Thank you.
The electricity board, it was East Midlands then, were putting a cable down our yard for £1 a point. Can you imagine that now, getting one electrical installation for £1, which included all the wiring.
Was that a lot of money in those days?
I suppose it was really, yeah. And all that consisted of was a little fuse box and one light, no sockets, one light in the main living room, and nothing upstairs because it was going to cost us £1 for every other room. And Mum said, "Oh, that's too much, you know." And we were pretty hard up, tell you the truth, in those days.
Did your mother work?
Yeah. We really were, because Mum, the only little job she could get was cleaning in Denham and Hargrave's offices. She got to know people there. I remember Mr. Austin, he was a very nice gentleman, and she used to do his office for him, and that made a little bit for her. And then, because when I got to work, I'd help her out a bit, and that's how it was. But Allen's Row, I remember quite a few of the people down there. Sort of a lot of them were senior to us, but there was one or two round about Mum's age that were there. Yeah, we just did it, you know. But the strangeness was coming from a house where we got an upstairs toilet and a bathroom and everything. Because to have a bath, we had to use a tin bath in front of the fire. And these were all bought from hardware shops like Megginson's or Locks. Actually, I worked at Megginson's for a number of years and used to sell all that sort of stuff. And we just had to put the copper on and bucket hot water in and have your bath in the... Yeah.
Once a week?
Yeah,
Once a
well,
week,
whenever. Mum did more often than that, but I used to have a wash down in the little of where the sink was, which was in a separate little compartment, which was only the width of one of those old stone sinks, and we had a little coal shed inside, like where didn't hold much coal. That was under the stairs, that was. But the big problem was food storage.
Did you not have a pantry?
No, we didn't have a pantry. The only thing we had was above this coal storage place, somebody had made like a access with a little door on it to previous people, I suppose, where you could put food in there, but you didn't know what a lot because there was no fridge or anything like that, and keeping food was you bought it and ate it sort of thing. It was all quite an experience. I think how I felt it more, and Mum, that we were suddenly sprung into it, whereas the local peoples sort of grew up with the existence of yards, and I suppose there's a few left that who remember the yard the same as I do, but as we get older they start disappearing, and it just brought back memories to me reading in the Atherstone Herald about you were doing a sort of article on the old yards. Because a lot of the yards apparently were all originally in Station Street, and yeah, you know where the bus station is now. That was the big congested bit of yards. They tell me that had actually gone. We never saw that. And there was some more down the end of this street, I think. And of course there was Garden Row in Long Street, and other yards that I can't remember the names of. Roughly where opposite the old post office, there was a yard down there that came out by the laundry, I think, because on that corner we had the laundry, and we had Lund's Engineering, there was the Bull's Head pub on the corner, and it was all vastly different to now, and there was a row of houses along in the Coleshill Road on the left, terraced houses which were sort of on a par with the ones that we lived in. The old town was entirely different, you know, to even the town hall. I mean, that was a bit unique. They used to have, the Freemasons used to use that, and it was there for dances and all sorts of things. And because I lived in Church Street directly opposite that, I could see it from our bedroom windows. And the funny part about that was, I know I'm getting off Allen's Row a bit, but just a bit of town history. We went down to Cornwall for a fortnight's holiday, and the town hall was there when I left, and gunmen. Couldn't believe it, you know. It was just a sight of rubble where it was, you know, and I could see across to Beach House and the cricketers and those houses across the road there, which was something, you know, unheard of. It was wide open spaces. And I think as well, the fire stations used to be underneath there as well.
I've seen the photographs.
Yeah, that was there. I remember the fire chief, Mr. Bester, yeah. But Allen's Row really nothing much. There was no signs of the houses being improved. Because to be honest, I don't even know who they were owned by.
Mhm.
I mean, certain things as a kid you don't get involved
No.
in, and I know Mum paid the rent to somebody, but I don't know much about that side of it. But,
Do you remember your furniture in the house?
Pardon?
Do you remember your furniture in the house?
Furniture.
Because if you came with nothing,
Well,
presumably...
there was no furniture when we went, and it was just bits we acquired, second-hand stuff. I know we had a table and 2 or 3 chairs, which were old-fashioned. The actual room itself was half boarded, which most old houses were in Atherstone at that time.
Right, so wooden round the bottom.
Yeah, you got wood extended up the walls all the way round. It was a common thing for most houses to be half boarded like that.
Right.
And
was it painted or was it just...
yeah, the boards were always
Wooden
painted,
wood coloured.
and the walls, of course, were papered or whitewashed.
Uh-huh.
There was no emulsion paint then. I remember emulsion paint coming in, and I thought, oh, this is marvellous. What you did, you bought balls of whitening from the hardware shop, which were heavy lumps, and you crushed them up in a bucket, and you mixed it with glue size and water. And when you got it to a sort of consistency, almost like your pancake mix, as you might say, it was because it was always white, and away you went then. You slapped it on the ceiling and the walls, and yourself.
So was your house 2-storey? Was it one room downstairs and then you had 4
the
bedrooms?
house was higher than all the others. I don't know how that came
Would it have
about,
been
but
3-storey?
when we went up our first flight of stairs, we were into the first bedroom, and then there was another door that enclosed another flight of stairs to the top one. Well, then going from the first bedroom, there was a door leading into the bedroom which was over the wash house, and then up another flight of stairs too. So there was 4 bedrooms and just one small room downstairs.
It was quite a big house then.
It was unusual really. From the top I could see across Bond's buildings, the houses, I think as far as I remember, they had 2 houses, and they were sort of more to the left of us, which gave us a clear view across Woolpack Yard. That's how Woolpack Way name came into being, from Woolpack Yard, which there was no houses down there then, perhaps was originally, but they were just a few garages that was owned by Charnels who ran the fish and chip shop at the bottom. And then I could see the Conservative Club grounds, which there was 2 tennis courts at the end of that, which went on to along South Street, and there was one particular thing I remember was a huge horse chestnut tree that when it used to be in flower it really looked great, and to the left of that was the bowling greens. I could see all that from my bedroom at the top, so we had a bit of an outlook over there, but because there was no windows at the back at all, everything faced, and this applied to all of them, there was no your only access was one door into your house, one window, but at the back of it there was no more, so they were quite dark really. But they were all like that, even though they were smaller houses.